This is it. Last example of the last lesson of Unit 3 here. This is exciting, for me at least. It should be exciting for you too if you've made it this far. So, solve the following inequality to determine the numbers. The sum of two consecutive even integers is at most 7 more than half the sum of the next two consecutive even integers. Boom! Mind blown. Too many words. So, let's break this apart piece by piece. The sum of, so sum means addition, two consecutive, we remember means in a row. Even are numbers like 2, 4, 6, 8. Integers, we know are whole numbers, but they can be positive or negative. We just learned at most tells us about the inequality less than or equal to, because if I can fit at most that many people in my car, it means that many or less. 7 more than is a plus 7, add 7. Half is going to have the sum of the next two, consecutive even integers. Yikes, this is a lot going on. There's a lot going on in this problem. So the first thing we want to start with, this is kind of similar to our 3-7 lesson that we did on consecutive integer problems. That's where these definitions and stuff are coming from. So remember that they want us to label all expressions, and there's still always going to be an x, and usually that first number that we're dealing with is going to be that x. So the sum of two consecutive even integers. So that means we at least have two numbers. So I'm going to start my let statement off with first number equals second number equals. And if we're talking about consecutive even integers, and again, whenever I'm doing these, I really, really, really suggest to you to get some numbers down as a base, as some examples to deal with. What I mean by that is that the way I have 2, 4, 6, and 8 listed there. So if 2 is like my first number, and remember, I don't know that. 2, 4, 6, and 8 have nothing to do with this actual problem except for the fact that they're consecutive even integers. So my first number is always going to be that x because I have no idea what it is. So if x is like my 2, what do I do to 2 to get to 4? Well, from 2 to 4, that's plus 2. So whatever the first number is, to get to the second consecutive even number, all I have to do is take that number, that x, and add 2 to it. Okay? So the sum of two consecutive even integers. So that we decided meant plus. So that means I need to add those first two numbers together in my equation. All right, so I'm going to take the x plus the x plus 2 is at most, so I'm going to bring back that inequality that we picked out, 7 more than half the sum of the next two consecutive even. So when they say the next two, they don't mean the two that I have already. They mean the next two after that, which would leave me with a total of 4 numbers that we're dealing with. So we need a third number equals expression and a fourth number equals expression. So if I left off with the 4 being the x plus 2, what do I need to do to x in order to get to 6? What do I have to do to 2 to get to 6? Well, 2 plus 4 gets me to 6. So x plus 4 would get me to the next consecutive even integer. And then you just can continue the pattern on. 2 plus what is going to get me to 8, and that would be x plus 6, and there I have my 4 numbers that we're dealing with. So now we just have to finish translating, and I promise the solving will be a little bit easier. So 7 more than half the sum of the next two. So because it says half the sum, that definitely means that my 1/2 needs to be on the outside of parentheses. half the sum, again, addition, of the next two. The next two, well, that was my x plus 4 and my x plus 6 that we just made. So half those two added together, and then just that plus 7, that added 7. And it is okay if you have the 7 plus in front because it's not subtraction, but just save yourself the trouble and just start writing that piece in the back. All right, so now we just combine some like terms here. X plus x gives us 2x plus 2 is less than or equal to, my 1/2 is still on the outside. Inside of those parentheses turns into 2x plus 10 plus 7 on the outside. Now I can go ahead and distribute that 1/2. 1/2 times 2x just leaves me with 1x, and 1/2 times 10 leaves me with 5, and then I can carry down my plus 7. We're getting there. 2x plus 2 is less than, I lost my or equal to. Be careful not to do that. Very common mistake. 5 plus 7 is 12. Go ahead and move my x over because remember I want my x's on the left-hand side to make life easier for us. They don't have to be, but it just makes life easier for us. X plus 2 is less than or equal to 12 minus the 2 over, excuse me, for the last step there, and x is less than or equal to 10. So that means one of the possible sets of numbers could be, so one set of numbers could be 10, 12, 14, 16. Or, because all x has to do is be less than or equal to 10. So another set of numbers, any number less than or equal to 10, if I pick 0, 0, 2, 4, 6. And I could actually keep on going and list an infinite number of numbers because this is an inequality, and inequalities have an infinite number of solutions. So that is why inequalities are kind of cool. So to sum this up right here, I'm just going to write a little blurb that says, let's do this with black. There is an infinite number of solutions. Just a reminder that there's an infinite number of solutions.